This is Wednesday, July 30th, 2020, meeting of the Berlin Board of Berlin Personnel Board. Sorry, I'm reading off the calendar.
It's Thursday too.
Oh, it's Thursday, July 30th, meeting of the Berlin Personnel Committee. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. This is Claire Pond, Chair of the Personnel Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me prior to calling the meeting to order. The members, Sue Terrian.
Yes, I'm here.
Tom Bradley.
Yes, I'm here.
Staff would be Margaret Nardowitz, Town Administrator.
I'm here.
And anticipated speakers, I know that the chief wanted to speak a little bit.
Yep,
Okay, great.
thank you.
With a quorum of the board present, I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, July 30th. So on the agenda, we have the first thing was the review and approval of the minutes. Sue, did you have a chance to take a look at those?
I did read the minutes, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second, and I think we need to vote because Tom wasn't there.
Correct.
So I vote in favor.
And I approve.
All right.
Tutarian approved, sorry, roll call.
All right. The second item of business is the.
Excuse me, through the chair. I just got a text from June asking for a copy of the approved minutes, if you would please.
Oh,
for
sure.
payment of bills. Okay, thank you.
I will. I did them out today. I did the minutes out and. Okay. All right. Then the second item of business was the personnel action forms, and we had several. Senior work-off ones. Solera, Sherman, Miller, Smith, Tomasino, and Jackway. And I reviewed them all. And did the other committee members get a chance to review those?
I got some of those. I
Okay.
don't think I got all of them, but the ones I saw, I approve of.
Okay. So on the senior work-off PAFs, people who have terminated and they're no longer working for the town. I noticed one was from last year, so I think you guys are just trying to get caught up on.
Yes, through the chair. We're cleaning these out. PAFs are no longer required for senior tax work-off program participants. So these are
Okay.
just cleaning up old ones.
Great. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the senior work-off PAFs as presented by the town administrator.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I approve.
Tutarian, I approve.
Tom Bradley, I approve.
Okay. Then we had a few others here. We had Andrew Maurice, an EMTB, hired for call. We had a new select board member, Scott Hawkins. We had Mr. Welch, who was the newly hired police officer, has resigned that position. And I don't think, did we get the one for Pierce? Changing her hours.
I hope so. Did I send it?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. But if I did write it down, that was one that you wanted to present to us.
It definitely is. Did I send the email and not attach it? Boy, I was famous for that this week. It's not
And,
attaching things.
So she's moving from 25 to 20 hours.
Correct.
And I noticed that part of the process for that you will, right now, it's a reduction in weekly hours with the expectation that the department will continue to be able to adequately perform the functions.
Correct.
A future vacancy is expected down the road.
Mhm.
And as with all town positions, the vacancy will have to be advertised. The path for this would be thorough evaluation of the department's staffing needs and a determination of weekly hours required for the position. And then, of course, the review and approval of the ad, and then posting of the ad.
Yes,
So,
yes, that's it.
and I think those were all the PAFs that we had. I'd like to make a motion for the ones that we received, as well as the Pierce one and the reduction of hours, because we knew about that and through Margaret's email to us. I'd like to make a motion that we approve those.
I'll second that.
I just have a question on the Welch one.
I do too.
He's not fully retired, leaving. He's still gonna be a reserve officer. Is that in the?
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure.
he's going
Yeah,
to
he
per
just-
diem.
Yeah, he just has to resign from full-time status. That changes his benefits, you know, his benefits and everything, so.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions about that one too. Seeing that it's only been 6 months, has he done any training? Have we paid for any training or classes in that 6 months?
I can tell you that he did not go to academy. That would have been scheduled, but he did not do that. As far as any other trainings, I do not know. I can ask the chief about that. But he does not have to reimburse us for academy because he didn't go.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Just I know that one of the discussions we had about getting some commitments in time after we pay for the training. And Margaret, did you get to sit in on the exit interview? Or who
I have
did?
not sat in on the exit interview, and I don't know if he has gone through an exit interview yet. I need
Just
to talk with the chief.
After 6 months, I guess I'd like a little clarification. That's not a long time to be here.
Mhm.
Okay, with any further discussion on that?
Those are my questions.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Sue Terry and
And
I
Tom
know.
Bradley, aye. Okay.
go Tom.
I second it.
Okay. So I think the next thing on our agenda is the position reviews and advertising. So I think, Chief, you had sent to us some advertising, if you want to just tell us about that, because you sent us a job description, the paramedic job description, as well as the advertising. Mark. He's
Whoops,
on,
you're muted.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me share the time with the committee tonight. I know you're busy. It's, yeah, the posting it's a common posting that I just move to any of the positions that I need and make it fit the particular position. Well, I got the green light, well, I should say the fire department got the green light from the Board of Selectmen to start doing and start forming a paramedic based, fire-based ALS ambulance system. Right now, we're at the basic level, and this would bring us up to the paramedic level.
Yeah.
And it's a unique opportunity because in this district, you can go with what they call a PV waiver, which is a paramedic and a basic. So there's only one paramedic, and it's a little bit easier for the smaller communities to get started. Like where I came from, we had to do a 2-medic system all the time, 24/7. So it's a unique opportunity for Berlin to have paramedics responding out the door on the M1s on that call. And but there's a lot more work to be done. And into the paperwork for the state for the licensing adjustment and upgrade, we found out that we need to identify the personnel for the application to go forward. You can't like put it in afterwards. So we had to kind of like put the brakes on a little bit and then switch gears into the paramedic per diem. And it's just a simple posting. What we're trying to do is get experienced paramedics, bring them in. The rate's $25 an hour.
Yep.
And that's way below what a firefighter paramedic would get if he was working overtime, but it's really competitive what the private side, like one of the ALS units that we work with pays. So it's like, it's competitive. It's not high, it's like in the middle, but it's competitive. And we've had a lot of interest verbally from a lot of paramedics that are working on the street now. Some of them with a lot of experience, some of them with only a couple of years. So we're going to hopefully get to the point where we can interview them, pick a good nucleus of 10 to 12. We're going to establish, and I hope that hopefully someone from your committee can maybe sit through that and help us with that also. I know it was very helpful when we did our career firefighter back in November, and then we hired him for the beginning of December. And so that we can move forward. And when we get this done, that means we can progress with the licenses. Other steps that we're working on that like the finance side and all that stuff that needs still to be determined, but it's like we got to run with the ball as much as we can run with it before we get a red light. So it's like, and so one's just a basic posting that would go, a copy of the posting and a copy of the job description, if it's so approved or with adjustments made by your committee, would go out to, there's like 3 or 4 firehouses we've identified and one private service where people have expressed an interest with really good experienced medics that are able to work by themselves on a 1 medic truck. So it's like, and we're going to go for experience, hopefully, rather than someone new and not have a ton of street experience. And that will bring the best service to the town of Berlin.
So could I ask a question?
Of course, Claire. Fire away.
On the paramedic basic waiver, that is largely because there would only be 1 paramedic on the run. Is that it for the time being? Or is that just until we get licensed for paramedics?
No, the license for the paramedics is a PB waiver in, I forget which medic region Berlin's in.
Okay,
So even when we get the license, it's a PB waiver.
okay,
So the thing that we're doing now is we're looking at the different hours. We've got it mapped out 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the thing is that you got to go at least 8. But the other kicker from OEMS at the state, by the end of the 3rd year, you got to be at the 24/7.
okay.
So it goes up. You can start, we talked about starting at 12-hour shift and then go up, 6 and 6 the next 2 years. Go ahead, Margaret.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, okay.
Through the chair, can a PB waiver be renewed? Like, can you renew it in case you can't get to that full ALS level?
Full ALS level. If you can't get to the, if you can't get to the 24/7?
Yeah, I guess, like, how long can you run on a PB waiver?
Well, I've heard of some towns that get a waiver and they can run it out a little bit longer if you show a hardship. But I don't have personal experience with that. It's only word of mouth that I've heard and had people talk about that. And it's like, and the PB waiver stays no matter when. We're going to start with a PB waiver and stay with that all the way through. And actually the license gets renewed at the ALS level annually, where the BLS one that we got is either 2 or 3 years. They keep a license and then the state comes back in and inspects. But with ALS, with the drugs and the guidelines and all that, they come in every year and inspect your system. Does that answer your question, Margaret?
I think so. I don't know a lot about these things, so I
No.
appreciate the information.
And in terms of the cost to the town, how do we look in terms of the budget, Chief? Is this included in the budget? Did you, I know we had a lot of things going on this year, and I'm not sure what went into the budget and what didn't. Was that something that
Well,
Or
well,
do you think the services that get rebilled for will reimburse it?
well, the billing is quite a bit higher than the BLS billing, which we currently do.
Oh, good.
My experience was when we went, when I was in Hopkinton and we went to ALS, just 61 or 62% of the calls that we went to were ALS calls. And there's, so you could do that out. And that's one of the things I'm working closely with Margaret and her finance team on, to like kind of identify the costs. There is, and Margaret may be able to shed a little bit of light on it, but there is an agreement that will be available with Riverbridge, the apartments, as of sometime around the 1st of November or a timetable like that. She is intimately involved in that, so she probably knows more about it than I do personally. But that's like kind of like the seed money for it, equipment, and it's pretty expensive to do. We looked at multiple systems that we could run. One was, you hear a lot of intercept trucks, which you have like a Yukon or something like that, and you run and try to meet up with an ambulance to provide the skills. But that's a huge investment of a vehicle that right now the town of Berlin has 2 ambulances, a primary and a backup, and we could do it with that without having to do a new vehicle. But it's pretty expensive to get started. Like just the monitors alone for 2 is $64,000.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like 32 a piece. They're good ones, but it's like that's the one that's preferred on the street, and 9 out of 10 ALS-based systems that you see will have those particular monitors. So
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, we're in the stage now where we can apply for the license, and we got to work. We're currently started very recently working through the financial piece of it with the help of Margaret and her team.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. I might have missed it. Is this a paramedic firefighter or just a paramedic?
Just a paramedic. And Margaret and I had the
Okay.
conversation when we talked, is that as Berlin moves forward, is what you do is you hire paramedics, and it cuts down on the per diem cost. It kind of removes that, and you cross-train and make them a really good medic, and you make them a really good firefighter. You send a medic to the fire academy. And my experience with, I think we had 20-something medics when I left, is like it was easier to train a medic to be a firefighter than it was a firefighter to be a medic. You know what I mean? So you
Okay.
hire a good, strong medic with a good background, then you send them to the Mass Fire Academy for the 9 weeks and have them become a firefighter. And then that melds all those gears together, and they go from, in a second, they go from running an ALS code to going in and working fire. You kind of get double duty from the same people. You know what I mean? They can do anything that you run into, anything fire-based on a response, those people are trained to do anything.
Yep.
And it's cheaper to send them there, right? To the firefighter academy than the ALS school, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's long and it's hard. It takes a year to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like before you're done. So it's easier to bring him in as a medic, in my experience. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I know we got some of our current EMTs that are going to advanced EMT now. So it's like nice to see them pick up those tools, and one will be done really soon.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would both ambulances be used as ALS ambulances in the future?
They would be. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They will be like both stocked at the ALS level. So if we had a call and there was a second call and there was a paramedic available,
Yeah.
it could be manned and run at the ALS level rather than the BLS level. But we
Okay.
still have our background. We still have to have it's only a 1 truck. So we still have to have, that's manned. So we still have to have all the background, like the medics that we do now and the mutual aid and all that. That's still part of the application process. But the vast majority of the calls will be manned by the Berlin per diem paramedic.
Okay.
I have one more question. One more question on this, Chief Clark. Now, if you get this and it all goes through, will you still be able to keep 2 ambulances or go out and buy a new one down the future?
Well,
Just
I think
have one.
Yeah, good question. I think that they have 2. I think that's the way to go, is 2. Because because if one's down, we don't have to like call mutual aid. We just switch over to A1 right now. And there's a natural replacement cycle for ambulances, and I think this one comes up pretty soon, within the next year or two, 6A1, because it's like, I think it's 9, almost 10 years old now. So it's like 10 years is kind of like when you want to start kind of kicking them out the door and replacing them. So, but right now it's functional and we can use it.
Okay, thank you.
Margaret, did you have anything that you wanted to add to this? Have you reviewed the job?
No, we have a lot more study to do. This is a very, very significant investment that the town would be making. Chief is aware of my concerns from the financial standpoint. I mean, it makes sense practically speaking. And with going with ALS, we would be saving on the expense side by reducing our costs for ALS intercepts, right?
Yeah.
And we would also be increasing our revenues because we'd be able to charge for ALS service, not BLS service.
Yeah.
So we have those factors, and I don't have an analysis on that yet. And we're also continuing to work on our ambulance billing in general. So we're really trying to tighten that up. Now, the other issue, and Chief and I talked about this, is that Riverbridge funding is meant to be transitional funding. It's only good for 5 years and then we lose it. So with the significant investment we make, we also have to come up with a recurring funding source. So that goes beyond the Riverbridge Development Agreement, because that's a finite revenue source. So there's a lot of things we need to look at as we prepare for this. But Chief and I will continue to talk, and as he mentioned, we do have to get the financial picture and all this, so we're working on it.
Okay. In terms of the job descriptions, and I think the committee, would you suggest that the committee take these and take a look at them? Or are we looking for approval tonight?
No, we got time where you can review those. And,
Okay.
it's like, come on, they could be released upon your completion of your review. That can be released out. But we're at that stage now.
Okay.
So we meet in 2 weeks. That would be good.
I'm sorry, Sue, one more time.
We meet in 2 weeks. Oh, why am I scratching now? We meet in 2 weeks, so that would be good to vote on it.
Yeah, that would be fine. I'm going all next week on vacation anyway, so it's like, that
Where
would be really
can't go
good.
on vacation.
Margaret said I could, so I'm going while she said I could. Of course, expenses are mine.
Well earned vacation.
None of
That's
us
right.
can.
That's right. Good, good. All right, then I would like to put out to the committee, make a motion that we take these under advisement and take a look at them and review them a little further and then get back to the chief.
Yep.
I will second that.
Yeah, and feel free, you got a question, call, the office is there, come bang on the door. We can social distance and answer any questions that you got in the conference room. And it's like, whatever you need, call, and I'll get it to you.
Okay, great.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor of taking these under review? Aye.
Tutarian, aye.
Tom Bradley, aye.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chief. We really appreciate your coming and describing to us what these were for and how they're going to be used. And that's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Margaret, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Have a good vacation.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Enjoy.
Always do.
Not too many quarantinis.
Nope. Mask, social
Get
distance.
that quarantini.
I got it.
It works at the beach.
Okay, let's see. The next item on our agenda is discussion concerning any position approvals, which we just did. Was there anything new with the capital budget that we need to discuss? Anything that's come up about the budget or the capital budget?
The only thing that I have for capital budget, but first, before I get into that, I think it looks like I emailed out Rose's personnel action form yesterday afternoon.
Okay,
That was attached to that email that you had. So just so you know, it's there for your review.
all right, great, all right.
And now, as far as the budget, the only things that I have on budget are tied to the HR wage survey and the contingency account that town meeting approved for FY21. So the contingency account that was put into our operating budget this year provided for market wage adjustments for certain positions based on the HR study, the wage survey.
Yep.
There is $33,000 in there that could be used to make market wage adjustments. And I've looked at the draft market survey or the market data report. And there are going to be several positions that look like they're a little bit, some a lot low. And so at some point, the personnel committee, when we actually get the final market data results and the ERI results, and you start really looking, scrubbing these numbers, it looks like there's going to have to be an approach where you take a look, you start with the biggest gaps and then work your way up, because I don't know that $33,000 is going to take care of all these things.
No, and there are some.
It also doesn't mean I guess I was thinking about today, because I kind of felt good when I was reviewing it, because a lot of the things in there are things that we saw early on that needed to get fixed, except for we never had a chance to ever look at the fire department at all. So those were some that we will need to take a closer look at, because we've never reviewed those. But the only real concern, I think, that looking at the information that kind of came to mind is that when these were being reviewed and the job descriptions were being reviewed, do we know that the positions in the survey data that came back, that they're doing the same thing? I guess that would be my thing, like, if a position here says that it should go up like 30% and there was only one other town's data that we had, is that person in that other town really doing everything that our person here is doing? And I just want to make sure that we're totally fair and consistent across the board with.
That's a very good point. And I agree. And it may be, Sandy may say that she doesn't have, they haven't scrubbed the job descriptions in the other towns. It may be that we have to do a little more legwork after getting some job descriptions from these other towns to be able to really review them for that. Now, one of the biggest, I just wanted to say, the Council on Aging Director, which has already been adjusted up, 2 grades and up several steps, is still significant, potentially significantly behind market. So I just wanted to note that of the $33,000 in that contingency account, the adjustment that already had to be made to the COA director's wages, that once it's approved in itself is $3,281.65. So that's off the 33,000. So there's going to be a lot of that where I just think some of the adjustments are going to have to be incremental.
Yep. And it doesn't mean if the range changes that the people aren't okay within the range. They may be really okay.
You're right.
I was looking at one of the the fire department ones, and I thought to myself, oh, geez, I guess that our range was behind. Did not realize that because we really didn't look those up. However, the person was brought in, I think, a little bit higher than we anticipated was going to be brought in. And maybe they still fall within that range just fine with their years of experience.
Right.
So that'll be great. I was really impressed. I love working with that stuff anyway. So
Well, similar to, I was talking to Sue earlier and just mentioning with the market study, not only might we have to get job descriptions from other communities, we might have to get contracts, employment contracts from other communities for the contract employees, because I believe the market study, the market rate study is going to be shows only base wages. So it's not showing other contract costs and other compensation that's being given to positions. And we know for a fact, especially with public safety chiefs, that there's a whole array of compensation that's given. So we're probably going to have to do further analysis on that as well.
yeah. But I thought it was great. I really thought, I loved the way how at the end, how the consultant put all the end things. I didn't know if we're going to wait for her to explain to us on some of the information. I know the first one is our range for fiscal year 20, and then, but I wasn't sure on the comp data points what she meant by that. And
I think, I don't know either. So I think that she's going to end up meeting with the personnel committee when she's done. But I think this is essentially only one piece. We've got the ERI analysis that she's still going to provide. So I don't know how that's going to factor into all this too.
yeah,
So I'm sure she'll be willing to meet with personnel as soon as she's done. I'm expecting some documents. Probably, I think she said next week.
beautiful.
So I hope
Good.
that's true.
Good. Other discussion on this? Do we want to go through it, or are we going to hold off and wait for Sandy to go over things with us and make any recommendations to us? Margaret, how do you see us moving forward with the HR consultant?
I think that I think you're going to have to talk with her. I think she's going to have to talk with you and explain the work products and how everything, should be treated and next steps. So that's one piece of it. On the issue of base wages for contract employees, collective bargaining, things like that, I think that maybe we should start compiling those documents from the comp towns and maybe start our analysis on that. Same thing, if there's anything that jumps out with regard to a certain position and what really is a comparable position in another community, we can start looking to get job descriptions for those positions from other communities too.
I mean, I sat and read this for a day and a half and gone through it all. And there's some that really jumped out at me. Like when we have a position that's paid very high and not one comp town has someone in that position. And I admitted, I picked up the phone and called a couple towns and a couple people. I do that. And I was like, no, we don't do that. Is that something that we should be looking at? Or is that, this is how it is now, folks? I mean, should we be questioning? I want to question. I don't want to talk about people, but line number 19, there is no other town that has that position, and it's a very high paying position. Is that something we should be questioning? Or I will question Sandy.
Probably worth a discussion with Sandy, but then it would be I think that maybe inquiring with much larger towns that might be apt to have that type of position to see, actually reaching beyond comps to see what's out there.
No,
might
that's
be a good idea.
Yeah, no, I was just surprised to see that none. Like a Hudson and a Maynard.
I
Hudson
didn't
and
even notice that one.
Mm-hmm.
are large towns.
Yep.
And then there's one position that's on here, line 14. That person has resigned. And so I think we need to sit down with the department head there and say, are you filling that again, or is that defunct? Because now we have someone else. So I think after we talk to Sandy too, we really need to sit down with each department head and find out.
You're right, Sue. It looks like two of the same job titles, basically, right? But it's one job. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying? Yeah.
and I think he just hired someone to take one of those positions. And I haven't heard him, he hasn't, said anything to us about placing the other position. But that would be good to know for this.
Hmm.
But I do think we need to sit down with department heads and just find out, get our questions answered so we're all on the same page.
I think that's a wonderful idea. And reach out to other communities for information for an apples to apples.
Yes, for what's for real and
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking we should sit down and go over this with department heads once we get all the information from Sandy, Sue?
yes, absolutely.
Now, Margaret, I know that Sandy was going to, I think the thought was that she was going to present this to department heads. Will you and us have an opportunity to review the data that's given to all the department heads or the departments before? I just thought to myself, geez, if this ever went, we just got it, and I know it's not finalized and everything, but if this went to like the people in these positions right now, I'd be a little concerned.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure she is actually going to be meeting with personnel first, probably the board. I think she's going to be doing higher level meetings first to kind of go over all of the data. Yeah, that's what I would encourage. I think, in fact, I don't know if she plans on meeting directly with departments after this. That's something we can check on with her.
Right. I remember in her presentation, she was so good. I love her. She really made everybody feel so comfortable and at home. And I think one of the things she says, I'll be coming back to you with the information. It's all transparent. And that would be, I would just want to make sure that what's presented back to the people isn't, that discretion is used in terms of handing it to them and having them see like a 30% difference or something like that,
Sorry, I'm on mute. And that would be without taking into account where they already fall on a pay grade, and
Right.
so there's so many things that need to be worked through.
Yeah,
with
right,
this.
right. And she'll help us with that, or she'll present the data to us and make some recommendations?
I think
Okay.
that's what she'll do.
All right, great. Okay. I think that's all we really had to discuss tonight. I just wanted to bring up, did we find out anything about the employee? You were going to go to the cemetery commission about the employee that had reached the threshold for being either a contractor or an employee.
This is a person who also does not have independent workers' comp coverage.
Right.
We're still working on that.
Okay.
We're still working on it, so
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
All right, great. I just thought of it when I was doing the minutes out. I saw it in there. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, in the collective bargaining agreement for the police department, do they have anything in there about if an employee comes on board and they go to classes or get any type of reimbursement for attending a class? Is there a requirement at all for their tenure? Like, for instance, the place, my employer, if we receive reimbursement from them or they pay for a class for us, we are required to stay in our position for at least 1 year and following reimbursement for that class or what have you. Now, when a person leaves, I just had one leave actually, and she had only been here 6 months. But we prorate that amount and we make the person pay us back like half of that amount if they stay for 6 months. Do we know if there's anything in the collective bargaining agreement about that?
I don't believe there's anything in the collective bargaining agreement, but Chief and I have definitely talked about agreements with the employees that would be sent, particularly with Academy, because Academy is expensive. I mean, well, all training, you know, costs, well, no, I shouldn't say all training costs money, but a lot of training does cost money. In my former towns, I have executed agreements, or I have required that agreements be executed between the chief and the employee, requiring that the employee, I think it was, in my case, I probably have examples. I think that we required that after Academy, the employee had to stay for 2 years. And if they left within 2 years, they would have to pay back a prorated amount. So that is common. But I don't think it's in the agreement.
All right. Okay. And I think I got to thinking about it when I saw that Tom was leaving, and I thought to myself, geez, you know, and I know, Sue, you probably, because you brought it up initially way back when he was coming on board. So I'm sure you were thinking of that too.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to know if he had done any training.
I wrote down those notes.
In 6 months too, I asked Margaret if she'd sat in on an exit interview or had it.
Okay.
There has been some turnover in the police department, and I'm not sure if it's the same as other towns, if it's following the pattern, but I know that there were 2 at the beginning of the year, and now for him to leave after just 6 months, I'm hoping if that's normal in the police departments, or if there's something that maybe should be looked at or addressed by Margaret.
Okay. And I think an exit interview may assist with that.
I put down notes. We're gonna have to do that. I think that's gonna be important.
Beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. The other question I had was the emails that I was getting, Margaret, on the personnel classification spreadsheet, and I wasn't sure what you wanted us to do with that, whether we should redo it, not redo. I wasn't sure what you'd like us to do, so I wanted to at least put it out to you, because we want to do whatever it is you want us to do with it.
So there were a couple of, first of all, we'll stick with the personnel classification spreadsheet. There are a couple of positions that have changed grades, like COA van driver, for example. That's a recent change. COA director.
We put in the fiscal year 21.
Yeah, and so it needs to read fiscal 21. The difference is that it doesn't show the 1.5%.
Okay, all right, but it needs to have the positions where we put those positions. Like we did upgrade, even though it wasn't enough. The COA director, the COA van driver. We upgraded. What was the other one? The accounting clerk. There were a few that we upgraded that were not on the fiscal year 20 classification sheet. So we need to,
I don't,
We
yeah, because
need
I
to-
don't, yeah, I don't think there were that many changes given the flatlining that had to happen. It's really just a couple of, changes, that 1.5%, and then the titles, I think, would
okay,
be it. But there's no changing the annual town report, but this classification spreadsheet could be changed in real time. It could be updated anytime if you want.
okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure because I got all Mary's emails and I was kind of getting confused after a while in terms of what it was that you would like us to do, so.
Yeah. I don't want to put more work on the personnel committee. I think the updates would be fairly easy. So I could help with that if you need me to.
Okay, thanks. All right, I wasn't sure if Mary and you had the Excel version or just the PDF version. So I want to make sure that you have a version that can be.
Yeah, no, I think she was only referring to the one in the annual town report. I think and that's that's PDF.
Yeah,
up
it is, but
online.
I have the Excel version so
Okay.
we can make the changes.
Okay.
So, okay, good. And was there anything else?
So Chief sent the Personnel Committee a full-time patrol officer position job ad.
Okay.
I can put it up on the screen if you'd like, if you didn't see it in the email that he sent. I can do a share screen right now. I've got it up if you'd like.
Okay, great.
Oops, okay. All right, let me know if you can see it.
Yep.
Can you
see
read,
it.
is it readable?
Yep.
Yep.
Beautiful.
How's that? Even better?
Excellent.
All right, so that's the job ad he'd like to post.
Is this the same ad that we posted last time?
I
Oh, I
believe.
Right.
Okay. I've had a chance to review it. Tom, Sue,
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve that it be posted.
Second.
All those in favor? Any discussion first?
I just have a question. Why does it go to the sergeant? Why doesn't it go to the chief? You know, like if somebody mails in an application, why doesn't it go directly to the chief? Because he's the final say on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't answer that, but that's another question I could pose to the chief and have him answer
I
that.
just wanted to know, you know, he has the final say to present it to
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
You know? It just struck me weird, that's all. That's,
So your thoughts, did you want to hold off approving or do you want to still?
no, I just wanted an answer why it goes not directly to him. He's the one that's hiring, correct?
Yeah. Well, I know in my case with the department heads that we hired recently, we had that string of vacancies. I know that we had the resumes and cover letters go to Mary, for example. So I don't know
Yeah.
if this is kind of an assignment,
Yeah,
but I can ask him. I can ask him.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
That's my personal opinion. I think it should go directly to him, but
Mhm.
okay.
so would your recommendation be that we hold off signing that then?
No, there's just a question I wanted Margaret to ask.
Okay,
I will.
okay. Do
Thank you.
we, let me ask the committee, did you still want to approve this before we get the answer to the question back, or what are your thoughts? Sue?
I'd approve it. I'd approve it. I know it has nothing to do with this posting.
Yeah.
But when does the contract for the police officers, when is that redone? Whoops, Margaret, you're on mute.
Oh,
You're
I just muted myself before I started talking. I'm pushing my button way too many times. No, the collective bargaining agreement expires on June 30th, 2021. That's coming up.
Okay, so a year, okay.
No, I'm just really pushing that, I would like to see if that is part of it, that if they get training and don't stay a certain amount of time, that the town is reimbursed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that really we have nothing to do with collective bargaining, but I'm gonna put my 2 cents in
I gotta laugh, so.
anyway. So
All right.
yes.
So
I
I'll
will-
make them,
Uh-oh.
oh geez, she's got it. So I'll make the motion again to see if we want to approve the ad to go in so that they can start recruiting for that full-time position. Was that
Yep.
a night position? Or
Didn't
no?
say.
I can't remember, I'm sorry.
It didn't say,
You
Claire.
don't have to put it back up, Margaret, I just don't remember if it said it.
No,
No, it just
I
said.
don't think it did either.
well, I vote aye. I'll get this moving.
And I vote aye as well, but the
Aye.
one recommendation, they may want to put a shift on there.
All right, let me see. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't show a shift, so.
Yeah, but I
I
think
will.
that's important because, you know, there's some people that just can't do the overnights and want to work 3 to 11 or 7 to 3, or they have other responsibilities for which they or work another job. A lot of our, you know, nurses, same thing, like they can only. So we'll approve the position with the recommendation that a shift be added to the ad. Any other business?
Oh, yes, I do. I do.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's see. First of all, we have a couple of other personnel action forms that aren't quite ready for execution yet. And the reason for that is because on Monday night, it's going to be the first time that I actually notify the board of appointments that I would make under the Board and Town Administrator Act. So we have for a part-time officer and for the Council on Aging van driver, we've got personnel action forms. So under the act, I have to notify the board, and the board has to either approve or disapprove the appointments within 14 days. Or they can wait out the 14 days and by default, the individuals can be appointed. So I just wanted to let personnel know what I'll do, because these are brand new, I haven't done this yet. I'm going to be preparing the notice to the board tomorrow, but I'll provide copies simultaneously to the personnel committee. So you know the track that we're on with these employees. So I'm concerned that we're going to miss a step here or there. So
Okay.
this is going to be our trial run with the whole notification thing. So there are those 2 positions that I'll be bringing to the board, and I wanted you to know ahead of time.
So it's a part-time police officer.
Part-time police officer.
Yep.
Yeah,
And Council on Aging van driver.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay. The next thing is MMHR, the MMHR membership form. So we talked about this at your last meeting. Your primary, and what did I want to bring up here? There are restricted numbers of people that may be added to the listserv. So I had kind of put an email out to personnel saying, well, if there's a way that we can do personnel as a group, can I just be added to that group so that I could also get the things without adding another email?
Right.
That way the people that were here already getting this will
Yep.
still get it. So is that okay with personnel if I be included in your group for this purpose?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I should ask the group. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
still working with Travis actually on the MMHR emails coming to me. So it does. So far, it looks like it's working. I just couldn't confirm it with him.
So is he saying, I haven't followed this, is he saying that personnel is now set up with all of your email addresses?
Yeah.
Sue and Tom, have you gotten things?
No, I was waiting for Claire to say that it was ready. Because I don't know how to do it.
Have you been getting the emails though that say MMHR on them?
No,
No.
but don't
Oh, you
I,
have-
no, but don't I have to, it said something about we all had to get on and link up or something? Didn't
Well,
they,
that's what Travis was working on, right?
right, that we have to link up first or something?
He had us clicking on that confirm, that he wanted us to confirm by clicking on that link.
Okay,
The
well,
link didn't work for me.
and it didn't work for you.
No.
I was
But
waiting.
mine was not a Gmail account though. I
Oh, okay,
believe yours and Tom's were.
okay, I will try that.
Yeah, click on that and see.
Okay,
So I sent him the error message I was getting. I sent him that today. So what Margaret is talking about is that once the MMHR message goes to Personnel Committee at Town of Berlin, it will automatically track out to Sue's
okay,
email, Tom's email, and Margaret's email if we approve her being added to that.
Nope.
And I'd like to make the motion that we approve Margaret being added to that so she has the ability. These things are much more important to her than they are to us for the most part. All the emails that we'll get, it's about everything. It's right now I'm getting like 5, 6, 7 a day on reopening town government. And I think it'd be very beneficial for Margaret to get.
I'll second that then.
All right. Tom, any discussion, any thoughts?
No, I got no problem with that.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Sue, I.
I,
Thank you for letting me join your group.
Okay.
Very
Glad
exclusive.
you thought of it. I'm glad you thought of that because
That helps a lot because we don't have groups otherwise set up here. So that's, it's a big help. Thank you. The next thing I have, so at the last board's meeting, I proposed, the board is actually going to be holding a workshop for themselves, a goals and objectives goals and objectives workshop. And that's going to be held toward the end of August. I think it's the 24th. One of the things that the board was just kind of talking about ideas, and one of the things that was mentioned was working with the personnel committee on employee training. So I wanted to bring that to your attention because we do have the ability to do employee trainings with our, with KP Law, our town council, with Maya and Cabot Risk. They do employee training. So there are opportunities for us to do free employee trainings. We've actually had one or two here already, but there's opportunity to do more. So expect more on that front.
okay, great.
We really need to do diversity training. We
Yep.
need to do other things as well. So
Beautiful.
I think that's all I've got. That's it.
Okay. Any other business from the committee members?
No, I just wanted to keep the ball rolling that we'll probably hear from Sandy. We meet in 2 weeks. So we should have some of the Sandy things.
Nope.
Actually, I think our next meeting is August 5th. Isn't that next week?
Oh, because of the extra week in the month.
Yeah. Are you
That's
guys okay with that Wednesday? As long as, I don't know, how is the Zoom thing still going on, right, Margaret?
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be going on for at least another month, if not more. I know
All
I'm
right.
anxious to get back in person, but we really
Right.
have to watch it.
So
Well, I think we should
when
keep,
is Mary back on Monday?
Mary's back on Monday, yes.
Okay, but is Leanne here around until then?
Oh, yes, yeah,
Okay,
so yeah.
because I just wasn't sure if next Wednesday's as crazy as this
Oh.
Wednesday was, and that's why we moved tonight's meeting to Thursday.
I'm gonna tell you right now, let's see what we've got. For next week, August, there
Yeah.
are only 2 meetings because FinCom's not meeting for a while. There's only 2 meetings scheduled, so
Okay,
not
so
a
we should be
problem at
okay.
all.
Right.
And if Leanne's not available, I can take this meeting since I attended anyway, and maybe Mary can take Concom. So we can split up the duties that night.
Okay. All right. So Sue, when you were saying that you just
well,
want to,
I just want to keep the ball rolling that we do get a chance to get some of these department heads in. Because like I said last week, I'm kind of my soapbox again is I'd hate to see the town start to spend money that we don't have for shiny new toys. When we have departments like the fire department that just came in and has a new program and are looking for money. So I
yeah,
want to make sure we know what the people, our departments need instead of what would be nice to have.
Mhm.
So I just want to keep the ball rolling that we'll be talking to department heads
yep.
sooner
Did
than
I
later.
word that okay in the minutes? Did you,
Yeah.
were you okay with the way I tried to word that?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we are there and we know what they need and how they're feeling and if they need the support.
Yeah,
I know it's not always the nice view, but I just feel like going out and buying shiny new pennies
Yep.
when we have people that really need that money.
Yeah.
And no one knows what this budget is going to be like this year.
right.
I just talked to a woman with a preschool and she has 15 pages of protocol for COVID if she's going to open up.
Wow.
So what the schools have must be outrageous. So I'm just being a little protective of the budget and protective of the departments that need things.
Yep. Yep.
It does take people. It does take people, and sometimes we forget that. But boy, if we hadn't had people through this period of time,
I
It
know.
does.
it's like all hands on deck.
That's right. All
So
right.
that's
Any
my
other business? Not hearing any, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
Damn, you beat me to it.
Well, I was waiting for you, but you weren't there.
All those in favor? Aye.
Do
And
I?
thank you, Margaret, for running the meeting. We appreciate it.